So this is day 2 of Scilab series. So today we are going to learn about the basic fundamentals of Scilab, and we'll have a brief overview about how Scilab works in real world scenarios. So I'm in my main screen, so I'm double clicking on my Scilab icon. That's how you launch Scilab. Um, so it will start within a few seconds. Just be patient. So Scilab has been launched. So here you can see there are basically two components which we have to look after. The main component here is console. As you can see my cursor here, console is the main component that you should pay attention to. And then we have here our command history, which is another thing that we have to take note of. So whatever statements we write here in our console will reflect in command history. So however we try to do any kind of operation, so it will reflect in our command history. So console is kind of a REPL that we have earlier seen in our programming language. Suppose Python has REPL. So what it does is that it executes the statement in real time. So it doesn't save all the statements in a file. It is so it is a kind of an interpreter. So what an interpreter does is that it executes line by line. So this is also a line by line execution scenario here. So what we have to do here is check out our console, and here we have our files, so we'll ignore it. Here we can save our files. I'll tell the functionality of how this thing works, but let us first have our grip upon our console. So what I'll do here is I'll write some statements. Suppose any mathematical statement, if I write here, suppose 1 plus 1, okay, it will reflect 2. No, it will give the output of 2. So 2.0. Now you can see here the answer, the name of the value which has been generated after we completed this operation is 2, and 2 is of type double. So what is double? If you are familiar with programming languages like C, you can see that in like integer we have double as a data type. So what double does is that double specifies the value up to 12 decimal points, and float specifies the value up to 7 decimal points. So this is the difference between float and double is very precise, guys. So in the world of physics we need precision, so we need double to be followed. Double data type is our main standard for doing mathematical or physical or physical science operations. So that's how we do. And this Scilab, the whole concept of Scilab is to compute complex physical physics equations or mathematical equations. We'll get onto it. So but the thing is that double here, you may be confused with the concept of double, but those who are familiar with programming languages, you can see here double is a data type which represents precision. So the default data type which is being used here is double, and you can see here it has executed line by line. Okay, so in a similar way, if we want to declare a variable, it's very simple. We have to write here, suppose I'm declaring x as a variable and I'm assigning some value to x, suppose 23.45. So if I press enter, you can see the value of x is 23.4 and it is of type double. So this is how this is how console works in Scilab, and you can make the most out of it. You can as a beginner, you can write some statements here and execute and see how it works. Suppose if I want to do subtraction, I can do like this. Okay, so this will do the subtraction, and for multiplication I can use like 23 asterisk 1 or 2. Let's go with 2. So asterisk is used for multiplication. We don't use cross here, we use asterisk for multiplication. Okay, here you can see 46, and all these things, all the statements I'm executing, it is reflected in the command history. You can see all the operations, all the statements I'm executing is being reflected here. So you can keep a track upon what mistakes you are doing and what kind of commands you are using in your console. So that's the thing. You can use the division, if I'm not wrong. uh, See here, it's also doing the deviation for you. So this is how this thing works. You can use the power. So for power you can use the cap operator. Suppose 5 cap 3, which will be like what, 25 into 5, 125. So you can see here. Okay, so you can also use the double asterisk for representing power. If I'm not wrong, you can use like 16. So this is how these things works, and it's very simple. You can see writing a statement in console is very simple. The problem arises when we try to write in a file. So there are two ways of getting an output on Scilab. So you can test it using the console, which is kind of an interpreter. It will execute line by line, so you don't have to worry about that thing. And one thing you can do also, you can write a file, you can create a file, you can write your code on it and then execute it. It will also work. So suppose for writing a file, the procedure is entirely different. So this session is all about to know the differences, key differences between console and how we can write in a file. To write in a file, they have given a special section here, file browser. So we'll do all of it, but first have a grip upon the console thing. So I'm pretty sure you have understood the concept of console here. So I'm quickly jumping upon the file concept here. For creating a file, all you have to do here is click here, file, and then let's go with open a file. So you can select your directory from which you are creating a file. Suppose I'm first creating a file here. Suppose uh, let's do one thing. Let's just create here, I think. Yes. Uh, you do one thing. Don't look for the previous option. You look here. You can see here launch SI notes. So you can click here, and I think one text editor will just pop up in your menu. So you can maximize it, and now whatever code you write here in this text editor will get you have to save them and then you can execute it. Suppose I write here something like x equals to 4455, suppose, and let me just increase the size. Just wait. Preferences, set font. I know it's not visible, so I'm increasing the size. Just wait. Monospace plain. Let's go with 50 or 60. Let's go with 18. Okay. Apply. I have to change both of these fonts. So apply. Okay. So it's pretty visible. You can see here I have declared a variable named x and assigned it a value for 55. Now I'm declare another variable, suppose y equals to 2, and then I'll declare another variable. I think I need a semicolon here. No, let's go with x1 and y1. So x is, I think, a token. A token is something that has been declared earlier or that has been predefined in your program. So you can't use that. So because of that only, we have received a red warning here, as you can see. So I'm comfortable with x1. You can use another variable called y1 and assign it values like 55 and 2 respectively. So what I'm doing here, assigning, creating another variable called result, and then what I'm doing here is x1. I don't think you need a semicolon, but let's see. Because I'm printing out result. Let's do it. Let's save this thing. Control S and saving it in my desktop. So I'm giving it a file name of test. So I'm saving it, and then now if if I have to execute it, I just have to click here, execute, and then it will throw some error if it has some. Let's check it out. The problem is that you can't write here res or the result variable. You have to write it down using a function called display disp. To be precise, disp is the name of the function that will give you the output. So if I write here res, it will display the result. Okay, so if I write here res and then save and execute, which is here, and then it will execute for me, and here you can see you have here 57. So the execution will be done in the console, but the file you write here, you can save it. So suppose I need to open that particular file, I have to just click here open a file, and then redirect to my desktop. Here you can see there is my test file present. I just have to open it, and then it will open my file. So this is the basic difference between writing a file in Scilab and then executing some statements in the console. So I hope this thing is pretty much clear. So this was a basic overview of Scilab. So in the next session, we are going to solve some numericals and then just see how it works. So it is basically used for plotting graphs and all those things. So those who are new to this programming scenario, I highly recommend you to the basic programming first and then jump into it. It will help you in this aspect. So let's wrap up here, and I'll see you in my next session. Bye.